Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we are back once again on EA Sports WRC. This time round we're doing another of our comparison videos. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live back on Wednesday, we went in and we compared all of the all-new 2024 Rally 1 cars to the OP Toyota WRC 2023 Rally 1 car. The results were quite interesting. It looks like all of the new cars are at least a little bit faster than last year's Toyota, so hopefully that video helped clarify a few things for you guys. But today we're going to be doing another one. This time round though, we are going to be comparing the old generation JWRC car to the new one. I think for this one today we're going to head over to Croatia. We are going to do a fairly short stage up or down the mountain ready for this one, just so we get a rough idea as to what to expect with the car. I think we will go with the Mali Lipovic stage. It's 10 kilometers long. It is a bit longer than the one we did in Monte Carlo, but we will leave it in dry conditions once again. Now, obviously, the Ford Fiesta Rally 3 car, 235 brake horsepower, obviously from that 3-cylinder engine, weighing in at 1.2 tons. The new car is actually got identical power, has got technically 3 more cc's, and weighs 20 kilos more. So you would expect it, theoretically, to actually be a little bit slower. Will that be the case, though? As we get into this, only time will tell. Quickly as well, though, by popular demand, I'm going to bring back the 212 Rally League, and it's going to be in the JWRC cars. Yes, I'm going to allow you guys, obviously if you've got the 2024 car, to dive in with that, or obviously if you're still with the base version of the game, to use the 2022 car technically inside this title. It's going to be a 4 or 5 week rally. I haven't quite decided yet, before I go away in December. And obviously if the support is there, if there is enough interest from you guys, that I will bring it back as well in 2025. So yeah, if you want to join my league and you haven't already, please do make sure you do so down in the description below. I'm aiming to kick things off next Monday if I get everything sorted out in time. But yeah, I'll make a video obviously when I do my full run anyway as well. So yeah, excited for that one to re-kick off inside this game as well. But yeah, let's head out then here to the to Croatia even, and let's see just how we get on with this car. Well, here we are then, first of all, in the old Ford Focus Junior WRC car. Of course, this thing, it's got no other competitors in its class, so some of you guys actually reckon this should be what all rallying is like inside this game for clubs. Because, of course, then, yeah, everybody is in identical machinery. I must admit, I do quite like the way the Rally 2 cars handle, although, yeah, apparently the Skoda for a long time obviously has been the OP car in that class. I guess I need to compare that up against the Toyota at some point in the future. But yeah, as I mentioned though in that video on Wednesday, if you did miss out on it, go back, check it out. Obviously, it's very, very difficult to get, like, you know, identical runs in 2 separate cars inside this game. You know, there are so many little tweaks and changes that can happen between each run. So this is loosely more based on kind of my feel, you know, of the car as well. And obviously, you know, basically, I would have thought for most people, you're either not going to have bought the DLC and then will want to use the old car, or you're going to have bought the DLC and you'll want to use the new car. So it's probably not as important as that Rally 1 video, but it certainly is one, yeah, that I wanted to cover nonetheless. As well, next week I'm planning on doing another video, actually in VR. I made a very, very short, it was actually part of another video on my main channel a couple of months ago. But yeah, I'm going to bring out the Pimax again, because apparently they have made quite a few tweaks to VR as well in this game, which I'm very, very excited to test. But yeah, Junior WRC, for those of you that don't know, to put it in like Formula 1 terms, it's basically their version of Formula 3. So this thing is actually front-wheel drive, front-engined, as obviously we saw, less than 250 brake horsepower. This is where obviously if you've moved up through your national or like, you know, the European Rally League or something like that, this is kind of the next step up the ladder towards, you know, official WRC. I would love to have a go on one of these cars as well in real life. I think they'd be really, really good fun. You know, they kind of teach you the basic fundamentals of rallying as well, obviously for real life drivers. But that being said though, yeah, they can still be a bit of a handful, you know, if you get them out of shape or things like that. But of course, yeah, they allow every driver, you know, identical machinery, so everyone can kind of learn. And, you know, you get a better idea as well about who's quick and who isn't, obviously, inside the real series. Obviously, I've done plenty of stages and runs with this car in years gone by, or a year since this game came out. I like it. It feels fairly nice, you know, it's a good car to learn in, I always think, on this game as well. And, you know, can be quite rewarding when you get it nailed. It's one of those cars where, you know, you can overdrive it a bit, as we found out with those Rally 1 cars. They still don't really like to be overdriven. They honestly all feel quite tire limited still. This thing, you don't quite get as much of the same story, unless it starts raining. And then they just can't find grip or anything, and it really, really start to struggle. But yeah, I love these Croatian stages as well. All of these switchbacks are really, really good fun. So yeah, quite fun, obviously, like I said, to come back here, and maybe if I have enough fun with the new car, then I will actually jump in and do a career mode as well with that car, because, I'll restart my EA WRC career mode in that car, because I think if I do bring it back, then I am going to start right at the very bottom and try to move our way up through the championship ranks. Maybe this time around I can actually win a couple of titles as well, but ultimately, you know, I don't want to do too many videos on this game still. Although it is good fun, you know, it still has definitely got a little way to go before, you know, it is the ultimate rally sim. But that being said, very rarely do I leave this game without a smile on my face. Because, yeah, it is quite enjoyable at the end of the day as well. There is just trying to get the car nailed in through this kind of middle section of the stage, getting towards the end of all the switchbacks there on the road, as you can just see, yeah, starting just to open up a little bit more. I mean, there's some horrible, horrible corners, and that is, I knew that one was coming up, and I still forgot just to break that little bit earlier through there. But yeah, this is kind of just more of a guidance run, ready to obviously compare and contrast with the new JWRC car. I must admit, I'm a fan of the way the new one looks. This thing kind of doesn't look aggressive enough, I think, as a rally car. But of course, yeah, aesthetics aren't really much of a priority for a lot of people in this game. People just want to know what car is going to be quickest, so they can absolutely dominate me in club competitions and things like that inside this game. I haven't actually had a chance to do my weekly rally this week. I think, sadly, we might have to wait. I want to try and do more of those again in 2025, of course, like I've said. I've mentioned it on other channels. I'm actually going away throughout the entirety of December. So there will be no videos, unfortunately, on this channel. Unless, obviously, the DLC comes out just before I leave. It might have to be a couple of last dash videos that I make inside this series as well. Obviously, when, I think, is it the Hard Chargers pack that's up next? I think it might be as well there. But yeah, in towards, though, this final split, though, this is really where this road really opens out. So there's a little bit of a chance to try and push the car to its limits. I mean, this thing doesn't sound bad either. It doesn't sound particularly inspired. But for a 3-cylinder engine, you know, you've got to think it's not bad at the end of the day. 235 horsepower from a 3-cylinder engine as well. I still think, you know, in this package is quite impressive as well, of course. So hats off to Ford. They've done well with this car. But making our way then through the final couple of proper corners. I've got to remember there's a couple of really high-speed bits here that always catch me out, because some of them aren't as quick as I always remember. They're right up to the limiter. We'll avoid that little barrier on the inside, and then out through the final corner, up towards the line. We're going to reach VMAX there of about 175, 180 clicks almost. 6:06. That seems like a fairly good time here. I don't know kind of how that's going to compare. So let's get the new car out and see if it's any quicker. Like I said, this new car looks a bit meaner, a bit more aggressive. You know, there's a few more angles to it, which immediately I quite like. I had a look afterwards. That leaderboard time put me like 25th in the world in JWRC on this stage. So this time around, yeah, we're going to try and hunt to get a little bit closer to the world record. But instantly, I'm noticing, yeah, those first couple of gears feel a tiny bit shorter. Obviously, we'll find out at the end of this stage as to whether it's any quicker in a straight line or anything like that. But immediately, like I said, obviously it's 20 kilos heavier, so you will potentially notice that a little bit through the corners. But yeah, theoretically, this thing should actually be slower than the old car because, yeah, identical power, it weighs slightly more. But as I mentioned, obviously, in that Rally 1 video, I think, you know, EA and Codemasters are very, very unlikely to make the newer car slower. Otherwise, no one will buy it. And, you know, people generally will get upset. Of course, there's a fine balance between pay to win and obviously, you know, wanting to buy the content to enjoy it as well there. But it sounds basically the same as the old car as well. Again, for a 3-pot engine, it's not bad, but, you know, it does sound fairly kind of basic and run-of-the-mill as well there. So, honestly, the impression I'm getting immediately, it feels pretty much identical. In fact, if I hadn't kind of seen the car at the start... Whoa, hello. Just getting a little bit loose and lively there. Like I said, the first couple of gears, they feel a tiny bit shorter. I'm not sure kind of whether that's true or not. But it feels identical. It almost honestly feels like the car is just got a new shell on it, which I think that is genuinely the case, IRL. So, I mean, you're basically then just looking at the minute differences kind of between the, obviously, the way the car interacts with the air and things, aren't you? If it feels exactly the same internally. Again, though, you know, that might sound like a bad thing on paper, but obviously you still carry over all the positives that I said about the old car as well. You know, it is fun, it is rewarding, and when you get it hooked up through a stage, you know, it is really, really good fun. I mean, you're absolutely, you know, you're throwing this thing around, of course, where it is slightly less powerful than all of the other cars further up the, you know, the roster. You're trying to just drag everything you possibly can out of it on every single stage because, you know, momentum is an important thing with these lower-end rally cars as well there, and obviously that's a very, very different type of skill that can still prove very, very useful when you move up the ranks as well. But, I mean, yeah, you can see already through those first couple of splits, we've traded green sector times with my old run. Honestly, yeah, I think, well, it's probably good news if you haven't bought the DLC and you want to join our league for this mini JWRC season, because, you know, the car doesn't feel any quicker at all. In fact, if anything, yeah, it feels, like I said, identical to the old car. I really don't think you're going to see, you know, any sweeping changes to the leaderboards or anything like that with this new car. Like I said, I think I'm just finding time, obviously, from running the stage back-to-back, so obviously I just remember a bit more about it and obviously learn a bit more about what the car can do as well there. So, yeah, I think ultimately these cars are basically identical. And I ultimately, yeah, if you obviously looking in terms of a value for money side of things, oh, don't hit that. That might be a little bit of a shame. Perhaps you want the car just to have, you know, a bit of difference, a bit of nuance to it. But obviously, you know, if you look at it from a competitive aspect, I can understand obviously why it's ended up being the way it has. So, you know, it should mean, like I said, that JWRC leaderboards aren't too mixed up or anything like that. But you can see, yeah, we are generally finding a little bit of time on this stage, but that is more, like I said, obviously just building up confidence in the car and remembering where to brake in towards that hairpin as well there. But hopefully we can try and get close to sub 6 minutes then, well, on this stage as well there, as we're getting towards the end of it. So yeah, it's felt like a pretty clean run. Maybe I should try and go hunt down the world record on this stage as well, behind the scenes, of course. Become like a JWRC master inside this game or something like that. But I mean, yeah, it just handles the same. You know, you get that little bit of oversteer if you drop the rear wheels on the grass or something like that. But otherwise, you know, it pulls from the front a bit like a freight train, as you would expect it to. It doesn't sound different. It doesn't, you know, you haven't got to try and drive it differently. It doesn't understeer more. It doesn't understeer less. They're the same car. Honestly, if you put me blind in them, and obviously I couldn't see the outside, I would not be able to tell you which car I'm in. Which, you know, you've kind of got to make up your own mind whether that's a good thing or a bad thing inside this game. But in towards the final split we go once again then. Let's really just try and push on See if I can go sub 6 minutes, join a very exclusive club inside this game. We are just under 5 seconds up, so we actually lost a couple of tenths through there, even when I felt like I nailed it pretty nicely. But, yeah, down towards the end, though, of this stage. I mean, it's an interesting little experiment, like I said, and hopefully it'll give you guys a little bit more of an insight as to whether you want the DLC or not inside EA WRC. Now, is the gearing any different? Are we going to be able to get more than 177 clicks out of it through those final couple of corners? Let's wait and see once again. Try to avoid that gantry. Oh, that's not going to give us a good comparison of speed. Up towards the start-finish line, though, we are just going to miss out on that 6-minute mark. If anything, it's actually geared slightly shorter, which is quite a surprise. So there definitely is, yes, slight shortening of the gears on this car, but apart from that, that is basically the only difference I can find. If I nailed it, apparently I could have done a 5:59 across those 2 times as well there. But let's take a look. Where am I on the leaderboard in the end? We are 18th in the world, which I'm quite happy with. To find another 11 seconds, though, on that stage, I think might be quite difficult. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and feelings around these this new car inside the game. I believe, yeah, I am the fastest ever Rally 3 Evo on this stage, which is quite a nice record, I guess, to have. But yeah, we'll be back very soon with more EA WRC content.